This is the Seller Process Podcast, where we talk about the best systems, processes, and SOPs for your Amazon business so that you can regain control of your time, build up your team, and scale your e-com empire.
Hello, entrepreneurs. Gianmarco here. If you are running sponsored brand ads in your Amazon account and would like to learn the best practices and strategies to get the most out of your ad spend, then this episode is for you. Our guest today will share the process of how to set sponsored brand ads that perform better than the ones of your competitors. Well, unless your competitors is also listening to this podcast. To join us today, we have Destaney Wishon, the co-founder and CEO of Better Ams. Better Ams is an Amazon advertising agency focusing on sponsor ads and DSP for some of the largest brands on the platform. While currently managing over $60 million in ad spend a year, the Better Ams team is on the cutting edge of all things Amazon advertising. Welcome, Destaney. It's great to have you here. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me. Exciting topic as well.
Yes, exactly. So actually, in our pre-interview chat, you told me about the importance of sponsored brand ads and how actually they are the type of ads that are the most misunderstood or misused, right? So that's actually, I thought it was interesting to discuss about this topic in order to share some pro tip with people on how they can set up great sponsored brand ads, since this seems to be one of the most difficult type of ad to set up. So so we will dive deeper today into how to set up these ads in order to make the best use of it. All right, so let's start by understanding what are the characteristics of each type of brand ad and what do we need to know in order to get the best out of them.
Yeah, of course. So as mentioned, sponsored brand ads are one of the more complex ad types, and that's because Amazon allows us the ability to test creatives and copy and landing pages, and then you have your regular targeting. So when you have that many variables at play, it takes a lot of split testing and just a lot of data to start figuring out what works best. Now, in general, sponsored brand ads are the ones that you see at the very top of the page. They're typically advertising through ASINs. Sometimes they have a lifestyle image. Typically they have, copy of 50 characters or less. And then they're also at the very bottom of the page. There's 3 placements, and then sometimes on the product detail page as well. So those are kind of the characteristics on the search results or within the product detail page. But within your ad console, if you go to set up a sponsored brand ad, you'll usually see 3 different options that you're going to start with. You have what's basically product collection, which is a general landing page of just your products. You have store spotlight, and then you also have your video and search, which is one of the most exciting ones that most people are talking about right now. But those are the 3 general formats that you have.
Okay, that's great. So can you tell me, generally, in what occasion you use each of them? Do they belong to different side of the funnel, or what is the type of ads that you would use? How would you use each type in each different occasion?
Yep. So first and foremost, you have to have brand registry to run sponsored brand ads. And typically you have to have 3 ASINs in order to advertise sponsored brand ads. Now, a quick trick, if you don't have 3 ASINs, what you can do is you can drive all of that traffic to a store page. So when you click either store spotlight or product collection, you're going to be able to choose whether or not you want to build out a landing page or whether or not you want to drive that traffic to your store. One thing we always recommend is if you're targeting very specific keywords like black calculator, you want to drive people exactly to your product detail pages. So we select a landing page with just the appropriate products. If someone types in something like office accessories or calculator, and it's a little bit more broad, you don't know exactly what type of calculator they're looking for, that's a good opportunity to drive that traffic to your store page, because your store page has creatives and copy that can help take a broad keyword and really drive a conversion for a customer. So that's kind of the first decision you're going to want to make is how specific are you targeting, and do you need to drive a customer directly to a product detail page, which is clean, easy, and highly convertible? Or do you want to drive them to your store page, which is a little bit more broad? And some people think that the store page is the better option when in all honesty, their store page isn't fantastic. So a customer lands on it and then they're like, wait, I just want to buy a product, not be driven to a store, and then they click out. So that's one of the first decisions that needs to be made.
Okay, that's interesting actually, because that was a question I was asking myself when I recently created an ad, a brand ad with the product collection type of ad, and you are given these two options: Amazon storefront or new landing page. So do you have suggestions on when would be the best time to use each, and do you have best cases in terms of real cases with numbers, hopefully, that which is the option that we should use best, and I also I think you're referring also to the type of keywords, right? So maybe there are some type of keywords that are best used for storefront and some other for landing pages.
Exactly. So Amazon's released the data saying that driving your sponsored brand ads to your store increases your conversion rate. And I don't even know the numbers that they specifically put, but I believe that data to be skewed by all of the large brands who have amazing store pages, and customers inherently want to go see all of their products. If you're a smaller seller, driving to a store page may not be in your best interest because it's an additional step for a customer. So one of the examples I always give is, let's say you're Nike and you sell soccer equipment. So let's say I'm targeting the keyword soccer equipment. If a customer is typing in soccer equipment, they don't know if they want cleats, a soccer ball, shin guards, or a goal. So that's going to be an opportunity where you're going to want to drive them to your store because you're going to want to show them all of the soccer equipment you have and get someone to purchase multiple products. That's the value of your store, right? You have beautiful creatives. It's for basket building and increasing order quantity. Now, let's say I'm still Nike and I'm still selling soccer equipment, but a customer types in the keyword women's soccer cleats. You don't want to drive them to a store. You know exactly what that customer wants. They want women's soccer cleats. So I would recommend driving to a landing page with all 10 of your women's soccer cleats. So that way a customer can go directly to that landing page. They know exactly where your products are being showcased and there's no confusion. Now, hypothetically, if you had an amazing store page built out for your women's soccer cleats, you could still drive to that, but most people don't have their store pages built out that well or that organized. So they're driving their customers to the store thinking that it's highly convertible, but they're losing those conversions because it's just an extra step in the customer journey. You do not want to overcomplicate things for your customers. So that's what we are really considering as the customer funnel. We've seen a higher conversion rate on our end when we're having very granular targeting and driving to a landing page because we're taking out that extra step. They land on the landing page, add the product to cart. Super easy, simple, no confusion.
Right. Okay, that's very interesting. It makes sense. So it's intention based. So if people have the clear intention, it's better to drive them to a landing page. If not, if they are doing like more, they're browsing basically, you can use that opportunity to drive brand your brand image. To show them your brand image and drive them to your storefront. Okay, so that's very interesting. And speaking about the product selection for each of these ad, the product collection ad actually requires you to select 3 products, right? At least, I guess. So do you have any recommendation on how to select specifically these products?
Yep. So typically what we focus on is the best products within whatever we're targeting. So again, what some people do is they'll throw up a list of 200 to 300 keywords across all of their products. They'll be very varying. You'll have soccer cleats, you'll have shin guards, soccer socks, and then they'll try to show all the products. We like to make very specific ads. So only our women's cleats, focusing on our women's cleat keywords, and then we'll get into the copy and the creative aspect, but we also want to make sure we're aligning those. In that case, that's what we focus on. If we're targeting women's cleats, we'd probably only showcase women's cleats. Now, if we're targeting women's soccer, maybe we'd show our cleats and our shin guards and our socks, because that's a great opportunity to cross-sell all of your products. Or if you're selling protein, maybe you want to sell your chocolate protein, your vanilla protein, and your pre-workout all together. So there's a lot of variables with sponsored brand ads, and that's why they're so complex. And there's no right answer per se, but it's really dependent on your keyword targeting. You have to be very precise because we do have the option to advertise so many more products that we want to make sure that whatever the customer's seeing is very aligned from an ad format and then a creative standpoint.
Yeah, that's right. So I can see actually how this can get really complex at some point, because the tendency, I think, of most sellers, and I've probably done the same mistake so far, is that you just smash all the keywords and all the products, just put it all there and that's it. But actually, yeah, it depends on the intent of the keyword. If they are looking for, I don't know, the model that it's specifically, I don't know, red or for girls or for boys, I don't know, you might want to just put certain variation of that product on those keywords and not the others, because then you're gonna get clicks that will most probably won't convert. So that's an interesting point, I think, that everybody should consider. All right, so then I think it's pretty straightforward, the three ad type, the product collection, store spotlight, and the video ad, right? Mm-hmm. These are the three types. So this is quite straightforward. Let's go to the next step of setting up the ads, which is the creative. So that's where we can spend a little bit more time to give better tips. So what about the creatives? How do we go about to create the best creative?
Yep. So when you get to the creative section of sponsored brands, what they're referring to is the products you're showcasing, which we discussed for the most part, the copy you're writing. You have less than 50 characters. You have a logo that you have to upload. You can no longer do a lifestyle image, which used to be an old school hack of getting an image into your sponsored brand ad. So you used to be able to take the logo format and upload an image, but all of those are going to be disabled. So for anyone listening who has old campaigns running, you're going to have to fix them, or moving forward, you're going to get rejected if you try that hack. But good news is we have a new tool called Custom Image. It's a really tiny square. It's a checkbox directly under your copy. You click check on that, and what it's going to allow you to do is actually upload a lifestyle image within your sponsor brand ads. So this is probably one of my favorite aspects of sponsor brands, custom imagery. A quick call out with that is it's not been fully rolled out on desktop. So it's typically showcased on mobile. You'll see it sometimes on the product detail page, a full lifestyle image being ran with copy, and it's going to drive you to a store or landing page. And then sometimes it's showing up on desktop, but these ads are incredible. Adding a lifestyle image to some of our sponsored brand ads have seen an increase of 500% in click-through rate. And that's because the image makes the ad so much bigger, and it takes up a very large portion of the page, and it just looks fantastic. So we've seen really crazy results with these. It's a beta rollout right now. So sometimes it gets a ton of impressions. Sometimes it's just a regular sponsored brand ad without a lifestyle image.
Interesting. Yeah. So I'd like to go a little bit deeper in that, because again, in my case, I was about to set up that, and then I decided not to put a custom image because I didn't know really what to put in there. So do you have any recommendation? How should that image look like?
Yep. So a few things that we've seen do really well is just lifestyle shots of the products, which again is the value of a sponsor brand ad, is we're advertising 3 products for the price of 1 click, right? So now we're adding an image. We have the opportunity to showcase an image that has our full product line. So maybe we have 20 health and wellness products. You can have one good shot of all 20 of your products. And then a customer will be like, oh yeah, that's a very legitimate brand. They have a large product line, amazing photography. It gives a lot of kind of that maturity to a brand. Now, other things that you can do is just specific lifestyle shots. Like if you have a cat toy or a cat product, maybe you have your cat playing with it. A really nice lifestyle shot of your cat with the product. Those style of things do really, really well because, again, it's showing up with the ad. It's not just a picture on the platform where they don't really know what they're buying. It's showing up with your direct products. So it's a good opportunity for them to see the products and then the products in action.
Okay, that's interesting. That's also something that probably people should look at, when they, for example, create their photo shooting. They might want to add all those products together in one shoot, because sometimes it's not easy to put them like graphically. Your designer might be able to, but usually it's not a really great.
Exactly. And there's specific size guidelines, which I don't have off the top of my head, but we can drop them in a link here. What we've been doing is we've been using whatever is pulled from, the content. So maybe they use specific imagery or certain lifestyle images in their store page. We've just been cropping those and using them to size. So that way it's really aligned with the brand. It's nothing crazy different. And they're not having to constantly reuse a bunch of images or get new work done. Because it's very difficult to scale sponsor brands because there's so many little specifications. So you really need to spend a lot of time on them. So we've been trying to help our brands by reusing some of those other images for the custom imagery.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I was wondering is that when you choose any type of image, then there is a drop down in the campaign manager that lets you see how that image will look in all the different type of placements, and most of them are like mobile placements, right? In which your picture becomes like something like very little, like or like a tiny square, or like a small banner. So I mean, that's going to also affect the how you are going to choose your image, probably.
Yes.
Do you have any recommendation about that?
I think you hit the nail on the head with just double check your creatives after uploading. Amazon actually does a decent job of this. As with everything, they're going to scrape, make sure you're not doing anything against the guidelines for imagery. So they're going to make sure it's graphically looking okay. But as mentioned, you don't want to have 30 products that are very, very zoomed out and tiny, so that way no one can actually see them on mobile. So what you really want to do is just make sure that the focal point of the image is your products, and it's not being distracted by everything else. It's very simple, aesthetic, and it looks good in all the different placements.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. So guys, remember to go check all those drop down, all those the placements in the drop down, and make sure that they pretty much look good in every type of placement. The image look good in the placement. So all right, then there is another part of the creative, which is the headlines, like what we write in the creative. So can you share some tips on how what it looks like, the a great tagline, headline?
Yeah, of course. So a few things that we try to really focus on is, one, writing your competitive advantage. So if you have something that makes your product different, makes it stand out, use that. A lot of people like to use like generic taglines, which are great if you're Coke and everyone knows what your tagline is, or a very large company. But if you're a small company, your little tagline is probably not going to resonate with your audience. So we focus on a competitive advantage. Maybe if we have a specific color or specific style, premium, like something that makes us stand out, we play around with those. Now, Amazon's pretty restrictive on some of the things that you can and can't say. So you have to get a little creative on how to make your product stand out and be better. So that's one of the things we focus on. Two, you can actually run headlines talking about your savings as long as it's aligned with the discounts on your store page. So that's kind of a pro tip, is if you're running any form of deal or coupon, you can adjust your headline ad copy to say, great savings on this product. And then you just put your start date and your end date of that campaign within the time frame of your deal. So that can really help with your deal exposure and kind of your promotions, getting more views on there, getting a better conversion rate, click-through rate. That's something we play around with. And then the third one is, we don't have the ability to have dynamic copy similar to on Google. But what we can do is we can create very, very specific keyword campaigns, targeting granular keywords, and then writing our headlines to align with that. So as you mentioned earlier, like let's say we have a specific color of shoes and we're only advertising our red women's cleats. I could only target red women's cleats keywords, only showcase my red cleats, and then write my copy with red women's cleats. What's going to happen is when your customer types in red cleats, they're going to see an ad that looks like it's dynamic because they're now seeing copy that's 100% aligned with the search term they're typing in. So subconsciously, there's a very high alignment there. So that's something we play around with. Now that's getting super, super granular. So it may not be a good use of someone's time if they have 100 SKU line. But for smaller brands or even brands where, maybe it's kitten versus cat, where it's a broader differentiation, write your headline for cat toys and only target cat keywords, and then create another one for kitten toys, only targeting kitten keywords. Very small distinction, but subconsciously it'll resonate and it'll help get a higher click-through rate.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, if you guys think that keyword, deserve to have like a separate headline just for that keyword because it's a big one, it's your main one, then it makes sense to have like one probably sponsored brand ad specific for that keyword so that you target your headline with the specific keyword. But I'm interested to understand better what you said just before, that you put also in the headline something like get advantage of this saving or something related to a coupon or a discount, right? So are you saying this is possible? Because I thought actually you could not put things related to like temporary status of the product, isn't it?
Nope. So this was a change in rules that actually happened last Prime Day, but it wasn't publicly announced. The key is you have to have the campaign start and end date be aligned with the deal. So it can't be an evergreen campaign talking about 5% discount. That's against the rules. But if you have the start and the end date of the deal you're running, driving to the appropriate page, then you'll typically be good to go. And I can send you a downloadable PDF from the actual Amazon regulations that may help some people like navigate the rules behind this, because it is very complex. And again, if you have 500 SKUs with 500 different deals, you don't want to create specific campaigns with a start and end date. But it's something we use, like you mentioned, if you're targeting a specific keyword and you're going really aggressive on it, spending a lot of money on it, it makes sense if you have a deal to put an additional campaign behind it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Actually, I didn't know about this. This is a pro tip I didn't know about. So it's very interesting. So when you set up the campaign, usually then it's going to be in review status, right? So you're saying if you put that, if the end date aligns with the end date of the deal, for example, a coupon or a lightning deal, then you're going to get that approved, right? But it probably won't get approved if you're done putting any end date. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. And that's what the back-end guidelines state. It's not even, a hack that we found or anything like that. We just work closely with the partner teams to make sure we're staying up to date on all the standards. And they sent us a new guideline when that was rolled out. And I was like, this is a huge opportunity. Just not super convenient for large sellers with not a lot of time.
Yeah. Sounds great. Actually, yeah, that's a very good point and interesting tactic that I'm going to use. And yeah, guys, feel free to use it as well. So, all right, then let's move on to the next phase of the setting up of the brand ad, right? Is the targeting. So after we have chosen our ad type, then we selected, the headline and also the creative. We need to target keywords. So what are your suggestions there in order to maximize these ads?
Yep. So sponsored brands are really similar to sponsored products when it comes to their targeting. You have keyword targeting and you have product targeting. So it's nothing too crazy. I think the biggest mistake we typically see are, like you mentioned, people bulk uploading 700 keywords that they pulled from brand analytics or their search term report. In theory, yes, that's a good idea to utilize that data, but where it becomes an issue is when you go way too broad and you have this really generic headline ad targeting hundreds of keywords that have a lot of distinction between them. So what we recommend doing is using our current data, pulling our search term report from the sponsored product side, organizing that data in a way that makes sense with the headlines or the landing pages that we're choosing. So again, if we're going back to soccer related keywords, I would pull my search term report and I'd filter by women's cleats. And then I'd upload my list of keywords and target women's cleats. I'd filter by my men's cleats keywords and I would do the same thing, upload a list and build out a campaign specifically for men's cleats. One thing to note, though, is broad is actually quite a bit different with sponsored brand ads. This is probably an area where people make a mistake, is that broad match is a lot more broad in sponsored brand ads. So as most people know how broad match works in general, it allows to cast a wider net. If you run it in sponsored brands, just run it with a lower bid because you're going to be getting probably even more clicks than what you'd get on the sponsored product side, because it takes anything that's even remotely close to a broad keyword and adds it into your campaign. That being said, we still run in all match types because the majority of the brands we're working with are really looking at scaling and we have very high budgets. So we like collecting data in broad and phrase than, moving on to exact. So I'm not saying don't use it, but use it very cautiously. Run it with lower bids. Know that it's more of a data collection technique and then focus on scaling your exact match, phrase match keywords.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you have any suggestions specific for product targeting? Because there's several new things in terms of product targeting in brand ads, like the video ad in product without product targeting. So do you have any specific suggestions about that?
Yep. So another big one is to just use all of your data from your sponsored product targeting to pull and scrape your search term report, grab all those ASINs and upload them to a sponsored brand campaign. One thing to note is when you're pulling a search term report for keywords, it's super easy to filter data, right? When you're doing it for product targeting, no one wants to take the time to like go through every single ASIN to figure out exactly how they need to target. So you just have to make sure you have very clean naming on your sponsored product side, so it's easier to scrape the data. But one thing we do is we'll use a lot of the tools out there and just scrape all of page one for our top keywords. So if I'm targeting, chapstick, I'll use all the tools out there. I'll scrape every product on page one for chapstick, and then I'll put them into a product targeting campaign to make sure I'm showcasing my ad on all my competitors' product detail pages. One area that can be kind of confusing is even though you're running product targeting, sometimes that campaign will show up in the search results rather than on the product detail page. So some people will be kind of confused, like, hey, I'm running a product targeting campaign only. Why am I showing up in search under a keyword? And that's because Amazon understands the relationship between a product and its main keywords, and will run your ads still for what they're assuming is keywords, but they're only targeting ASINs.
I see. Okay, that's interesting as well. Well, that's been very interesting so far. I'd like to ask you the last question. What do you think are the most common mistakes you see people making in setting up sponsored brand ads?
The biggest mistake, going too broad, not having a very granular strategic focus is probably the biggest mistake. Everything I've talked about is very granular, pretty time consuming, but it makes a big difference. The second mistake is having misconceptions about sponsored brands. People often think they're only for large brands because it's a brand ad, or they think that they can only target brand keywords because they're named sponsored brands. Sorry, this is my other cat, Luna. So that's a really large misconception. Sponsored brand ads are for everyone. You don't need to have a big brand just because it's named brand. So understand that. And then at the end of the day, our sponsored brand ads typically run within a 5% ACOS of sponsored products. So it's almost the exact same performance in terms of conversion rate and profitability. What really matters is your bid management. So make sure you have a great creative, great alignment, but then at the end of the day, you're still just managing bids for keywords and the products that you're targeting. So as long as you're running your bid management similar to sponsored products, you shouldn't see crazy varying results. It should be pretty similar to your sponsored product performance.
All right. Yeah, sounds great. Thank you, Destaney. So guys, remember the key to success is to emulate the best. So get all the suggestions that Destaney just shared with us and implement it in your business starting from today. And as usual, you can find in the show notes the complementary material of this episode, which is going to be a PDF with everything that we spoke about today and more, with more tips and examples about how to set up properly and with best practices and other examples and screenshots of how to set up your sponsored brand ads. It's called Maximizing Your Amazon Advertising with Sponsored Brand Ads. It's a PDF that you can download in the show notes at thesellerprocess.com. In the website, you'll find the link, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you will find the link in the description. All right, so Destaney, thank you very much again for your time, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey entrepreneurs, I hope you enjoyed the episode and learned something from the interview. If you're serious about creating systems for your business, automating processes and building up your team so that you can transfer the tedious daily tasks in order to focus on more high-level strategic tasks and work on your business and not in your business, I've created a guide for Amazon sellers named Capturing Systems and Creating SOPs that you can find at thesellerprocess.com/systems ebook, where you will learn how to leverage systems and SOPs in your Amazon business so that you can accomplish more by working less, optimize your time, automate and delegate tasks, and reap the benefits of being a true business owner and not simply an operator in your own business. Go download the ebook at thesellerprocess.com/systems ebook and start implementing all the tips and insights that I share with you, and leave us a review or a comment to let us know how the content we are sharing here is making an impact in your business. And have a productive week.